day full of fun. After a little wine, we'll be fine to have some fun in the sun. Getting dressed to impress while the sun's going down. They're going dancing with the boys, but I won't be around. Meet us there. Hey girls, I can't. That's not fair. You just don't understand. We wanna have a good time. I'm gonna have a good time. We wanna dance with the guys. I can't go and here's why. We'll walk hand in hand, slow dance in the sand. I'm telling you, man, it don't get better than this. We hear the music play, it sounds so far away. Our own dancing display, it don't get better than this. Shake a little bit, stop and clap your hands. Shake a little bit, stop and clap your hands. Shake a little bit, stop and clap your hands. Shake a little bit, stop and clap your hands. We'll walk hand in hand, slow dance in the sand. I'm telling you, man, it don't get better than this. We hear the music play, it sounds so far away. Our own dancing display, it don't get better than this. Those stars in the sky don't compare to your eyes, 'cause nothing gets better than this. I'll get a kiss from your lips, I can't resist. Man, it don't get better than this. We hear the music play, it sounds so far away. Our own dancing display, it don't get better than this.
Okay. Oh, there we go. I think that's the right place. Love the kitten? Oh, Dale, it's you. Hey. So, I have a chest thing right now. The kitten went off for her spay yesterday. So, Beans. Yes, Beans. Beans went off for her spay yesterday. She came back yesterday. She's very loopy. She is still in the room next to me. But because she is not like in full-blown heat anymore, she should be okay. Like, I don't think she shouldn't be yelling anymore, because she's not in full-blown heat anymore. That was like the big problem, was that like that's the chat box. Let me get the story title. So one of the big problems we had with Beans is that she was just constantly in heat. So my other cat, Cersei, goes on walks every morning. So I take her outside in a little harness. She goes on her walks. She was able to find that there was a male cat who was living underneath our shed. And he, I'm guessing, either knows there's a girl cat here or something, or he's just being territorial. He's been spraying on the doors. So because he's spraying, it's making Beans go into heat repeatedly. So she goes like out of heat, and then she comes like 2 days later right back into it, which is rough for her and rough for us because that means she's constantly screaming because she is in that point of her life where she is screaming from being horny. So she did get her fix. We finally got her to a point where we got the window where she wasn't in heat, and she got her fix. So she's down right now with medication after her surgery. So she's not screaming anymore. I'm going to try to get a story done in between that time. Missed the chance for Beans and Toast. Ha. So here's the thing. Yo, Ikalos, hey, how's it going? First of all, let me say hello to everybody. Hello, Micah. Hello, Silly Gill. Silly Gill? Silly Gill. Hello, Shui Girl. Hello, Dale. Hello, Logan. Hello, Jeffrey. Hello, Candy. Hello... Oh, Eleanor, you're here. Hello, everybody. Gecko. Ikalos, Verbal Horror. That was annoying to deal with. Plus, the shed cat was stinking up your doors. Yeah, so the shed cat was stinking up the doors, and he, like, pisses around everywhere. Cersei on her walk is the one who, like, sussed him out. Then immediately he started hissing, and then he gets scared and runs away. Hey, Jay. Or, hey, Ray. Not Jay. Jay is probably here. But he ran, but he comes back here and he sleeps there. So, yeah, it stinks up the house. It stinks up the doors, should I say. Not inside the house, but outside the house. The sound effects like you did for the Five Nights at Freddy's, but send it around Disney. Jordan, I don't have a good Disney one. Scotty Mo, hello. I don't have a good Disney story. I have to take a look around. I know that if you liked those, take a look at my classic, oh shit, what did I call it now? Pulp Horror Library. Take a look at the Pulp Horror Library series that I've been working with. I've been fiddling around. It's got a lot of sound effects and things. I also have another one coming out for that. So, yeah. Do I have a Discord? I do have a Discord. You can join my Discord by going through... oh, you know what? I'll just post the link. You can join my Discord by going through my Patreon. That's my personal Discord, like MCP Discord. Or, if you want to join the one that I stream with, my streaming Discord is this one. It's the night shift. This is my streaming Discord. I'm in the streaming Discord more often because, like, it gives notifications when I go live on Twitch and blah, 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 and things like that. But I'm not always on my Discords as much. If I'm not working on audio stuff, then I'm usually not around. I've been to you one of these. Oh, yeah, Logan. Hey, welcome in. Let's see. So I have the third parent here. I also have other stuff for Pulp Horror for the Pulp Library. Third parent is the one I'm going to try to do first. I don't know how long this is going to be. This could be like I don't know, like an hour-long stream, or maybe more, maybe less. We'll figure that out as time continues. But for now, this is what we're working on. And I'm going to be recording. So you guys have a responsibility. I can see the chat, right? I can see this chat. And whenever I'm recording, I can also see the chat, but I cannot see that background there. You see that waveform in the background? See how every time I speak, it creates that little blue blippy blip back there? That is your responsibility. If at any time, while I'm speaking, those little blue blippies disappear and it just becomes a flat line, your responsibility, listeners, viewers, watchers, chat, your responsibility is to tell me that there's no little blue blippies back there while I'm talking. Okay? If you don't tell me, I will freak out if that happens. Because sometimes they break, but I can't see that. You can see that. I can't see that. That's your responsibility. You're getting third highest views on your channel in the last month or so. Oh, really? Holy shit. I didn't see that. I'll check a look at it. Let's do Creepcast episodes. Oh, well, really? I didn't know they did one. Won't get it done in 1 hour. We'll see. We'll see. Having a good week. Hey, Goodwin. Encountering a bot account on Reddit trying to pose as human. Just scrape them for whatever. Oof. Dude, that sucks. Reddit, as much as, like, I do like talking, like, as many authors as I've met on Reddit who do really well, I just think that it's also become such a weird cesspool of, I don't know, corporate posers, and then also, like, AI scrubbing bots and things like that. It's really bad. Any sound effects since I'm blind, please? Yeah, Jordan reviews. Like I said, check out Pulp Horror Library. I've been doing those with a lot more sound effects and a lot more, like sound effects and like voice spits and things like that. I haven't done it with like this one, but yeah, you would probably enjoy those. Hopefully, there's 3 videos there. It's like 3 hours worth of stuff, and I'm gonna go ahead and work on a few more of those. I know I have another 1, 2, 3, 4 of them planned out so far. That entire series is supposed to be 7 episodes total. So, we'll see how it goes, see if you guys like it, and if you do, I will do more on that set. That's all me. Like, that's me and Goldcoin doing writing for that one, so. We'll see how those go. Don't know if I'm ready to hear that, the part they skipped. Oh, God. I see there's a not safe for work tag. We'll go as far as we go. I don't monetize these streams, so if it's something that has to be marked 18 plus, that's fine. The 18 plus part on the stream just gets marked by YouTube immediately. These aren't monetized, obviously, because I played, like... Oh, yeah, I played music. The music you guys heard in the beginning is from a really cool little indie group I found called the 6-Piece Suits. If you guys liked that and you want to find more of them. But we'll see. You take it down my post multiple times. Waffle, yeah, there's a lot of regulation on No Sleep now. It's kind of fucky. Let me find it. I'm going to tell you guys about this. Hey guys, if you guys are here hanging out right now and you want to, or if you're normally used to listening to live streams or listening to creepypasta stories while falling asleep, check out the MantaSleep Mask. MantaSleep Mask is right there. Specifically, what I talk about is Manta Sound Sleep because it has soft Bluetooth speakers that are put into the side of them so you can be able to listen to creepypasta stories or music or whatever you listen to as you fall asleep. It's cool. Silly Gill. Silly Gill. Fire in the Woods. Property normal favorite. Yeah, Fire in the Woods had to go down again. As it gets optioned, it can't stay up here because having it up on YouTube fucks around with, media contracting. It's a thing. Basically, if an author gets their stories picked up by like a media company like Sony, Paramount, things like that, I can't keep it up on YouTube because it conflicts with their contracts, so I have to pull them down. That's what happens sometimes if you guys have ever been like, hey, don't, they're like, where'd my story go, and things like that. That's it. Yeah, I saw I could take it down. Face purple crying. Yeah, that's just what happens. So, like if you see a story disappear, I straight up say like, it's a good thing. That is a good thing for that author, for that story, because that means that normally something much bigger is going to be coming of it, and not like, not just stuck here. Oh, dude, that's awesome, Nicholas. Thank you so much. Okay. So yeah, Manta Sound Sleep Mask. Sound Sleep Mask has Bluetooth speakers built into it. Also, it's a sleeping mask. It's really great if you guys like these kinds of things. You guys listen to stories, things like that. It's great. There's a whole bunch of other ones in here that I don't use. I only use the Sound Sleep one. I'm sure the other ones are great too, because sometimes like last night I forgot to charge the Sound Sleep Mask. I think it works for like, I don't know, like a week or some change, like a good amount of time without it being charged, but like that's on me because I'm lazy and I'm stupid and I just use it all night and then just leave it out. I forget to charge it during the day, so that's on me. But that's easy to forget to charge it because I'm just so used to it always working. So yeah, I didn't charge it. It just works like a regular sleep mask. So I'd imagine all the other sleep masks are the same way, but I don't know. It's a great thing. I think it's really great. Me and my wife both use one whenever we go to sleep. Also because I end up sleeping late. It's really good because that just means in the day when the sun finally comes up, it doesn't actually like wake me up all the time, and I sleep better with the mask on than I do without it. I got a whole bunch of other extras and things on here I've not tried or used, so I don't know about those. I can imagine they're probably good. I can't speak on my experience about one thing. So I mentioned like a couple streams ago, like, oh yeah, because of my allergies, I wanted to use the cooling mask. So I bought the little cooling eye things. They were not great for me. I think, so you put them in the fridge or the freezer, and you let them cool down, and you put them on the mask when you use them. One, they were way too cold for me. I didn't like them. And two, they don't work the same way as this, like the little C cups on the like the basic ones that come on the mask. Because like these ones actually like touch your eye. The C cups don't. I didn't like it. I think it was also way too big. So it kind of like pushed on my nose, and I feel like it made my sinuses worse. So, honest opinions, yeah. Sound Sleep Mask, 10 out of 10. The cooling mask, I don't know, like a 4. That's it. I can tell you guys, if you use sleep masks, if you do listen to creepypasta stories, then feel free to check these guys out. They're really good. You can use code CreepyPasta, you get 10% off stuff. Sound Sleep Mask is the most expensive one, obviously. There's ones without Bluetooth that could get cheaper. But no, if you do use those things, check it out. Use the link. I put it in here. Yeah. Um, if you don't use those things, don't buy them. Straight up. Don't buy things just because YouTubers tell you to. I'm going to give you guys an honest opinion about this. They do pay me if you use the code CreepyPasta. If you don't use the code CreepyPasta, they don't pay me, and I don't honestly care. Because this is just me talking to you guys about something that I think that you guys use and would like. So, yeah. There you go. Mary, hello. Don't forget to post. Yeah, smash the thumbs up for me. It really helps. Hit the subscribe button. Ring the bell. Do all that fun stuff. Let's see. The link's up there. Coupon code CreepyPasta for 10% off. Blah, 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 blah. To CreepyPasta. Yeah, 10% off. Let's go ahead and get to the story. I'm gonna record this one. Don't forget, it is your responsibility to let me know about stuff. PP Crosta. People, I don't know why that one got picked up. I feel like most of people went with PP Caca for years. I don't see why PP Crosta suddenly came a thing. Mr. PP Caca was was the big thing for like a decade, dude. Like I said, I can see everything in the chat. I will respond if something big happens, usually, but I cannot respond most of the time because it makes me break. It makes me like break character, break voice, and my editor doesn't like me doing that. So, my name's Matt, and my childhood wasn't normal. Not by any stretch of the word. Something happened to my family that's almost impossible to understand, but I'm going to try my best to explain those 5 years. 5 years of my life I spent in terror. 5 years we all lived in fear. 5 years we'll never get back. My father, Spence, wasn't a very strong man, both physically and mentally. He was the type of dad who often let our mothers speak for the both of them. Now, he wasn't a complete pushover, but he often was content to just go with the flow rather than to alter it. He worked hard and dedicated his free time to us, his family. He made sure our needs were taken care of. His soft assurances, the unseen foundation of our family. My mother, Megan, was the head of our house. She was outspoken, independent, and extremely loyal to all of us. She loved my father's quiet ways, and even from a young age, I could see the chemistry flowing strong between them. My little sister, Stephanie, was a year younger than I. She looked up to me, and my father always told me that it was my responsibility. She looked up to me, and my father always told me it was my responsibility to look after her. We got along as best we could, and even though I gave her all kinds of brotherly hardship, I did love her. We lived in a suburban middle-class community. Complete stock photo of the American dream. My father worked a respectable 9-to-5 job, while my mother taught yoga classes out of the house. It was a neat life, organized and structured. Everything was discussed, considered, and acted upon as a family. It was a good home to grow up in. But that was before he showed up. That was before the third parent. July 1989. I was sitting at the dinner table waiting for my father to finish cooking. It was his turn tonight, and my stomach roared for his rosemary chicken. My sister, Stephanie, lay on her stomach in the living room coloring. Her golden blonde hair fell across her shoulders in waves, and she looked up at me, smiling. She extended what she had been working on, and I nodded, completely unimpressed. She sniffed at me and continued her sketch. My mother walked into the kitchen, pulling her hair back from her freshly showered face. "Everyone gone?" my father asked from the stove. My mother nodded. "Yes, Spence, the house is ours again. It's so much better teaching yoga in the basement. So much cooler. I'm glad we finished the basement over the winter. My clients are relieved as well. It's a scorcher out there today." "Mom, can you sit down so we can eat?" I begged from my spot at the table. My mother turned to me and laughed. "Matt, the hungriest 6-year-old this side of the Mississippi. Why don't you ask your dad to hurry up? He's the one cooking." I placed my forehead on the table. "Dad, I'm gonna die." Stephanie looked up from her coloring book. "Matt, don't be crazy." "You're crazy," I muttered, not looking up. "Nuh-uh," she said, sticking her tongue out at me. All right, my father said, turning from the stove. In his hands, he held a steaming platter of chicken. "Come sit down, Steph, the food's ready," I ordered my sister, the sight of the seasoned meat causing me to salivate. As she pulled herself up from the floor, my mother taking a place behind... My God, I'm going to kill myself. As she pulled herself up from the floor, my mother taking a place beside me, we all froze as someone knocked on the front door. My mother and father exchanged puzzled looks. My dad placed the food down on the table and told us all to hold on a minute. Groaning, I watched him walk to the front door. He peeked through the keyhole, and I saw him visibly tense, his whole body cementing like a statue. "Spence, who is it?" my mother asked. My father slowly turned back around to us, all blood draining from his face. His eyes were wide, and I saw fear dilate his pupils. He licked his lips and shot Stephanie and me a look. "Spence!" my mom pressed, her face contorted with concern. "No, this can't happen. Not again," I heard my father whisper, staring off into the staring off into the distance. The door shook as another series of knocks echoed through the house. My mom stood, her voice cracking with contagious fear. "Spence, who is it? What's going on?" "So sorry," my father mumbled, catching his stomach, his face a pale sheet. I have to let him in." Before any of us could say anything else, my dad turned and opened the door. Dying sunlight blinded me, and I squinted to see who our unannounced visitor was. "Hi, I'm Tommy Taffy. It's good to see you again, Spence." I watched as my father slowly backed away from the open door. A man entered our house and shut the door behind him. My young mind tried to make sense of what I was seeing, but even at that young age, I knew something wasn't right with this unexpected guest. He was about 6 foot and had a shock of golden hair cut tight along his scalp. He wore khaki shorts and a white t-shirt that said, "Hi," in red cartoon font. But that wasn't what caught my eye. It was his skin. It was completely devoid of pores, a perfectly smooth, creamy texture that looked almost like soft plastic. His face was a pool of gentle pink, his mouth a cheerful cut along his cheeks, revealing a white strip of teeth. But they weren't teeth, it was just a smooth, edgeless row, like he had a mouth guard on. His nose was just a slight rise out of his face like a doll, void of nostrils. And his eyes. His eyes were twin puddles of sparkling blue, shining out at us from his flawless, eerie face. They were wide, like he was in a constant state of surprise, and they shifted around the room to look at us in quick, jarring motion. His smile widened, and he raised a flawless hand to us at the table. "Hi, I'm Tommy Taffy. It's good to meet you." I noticed he didn't have any fingernails or skin defects. No wrinkles or bruises, nothing. It was like he was a living, talking, human-sized doll. Spent? My mother croaked. Recognition blooming in her eyes. It's going to be okay, Megan, my father said, voice shaking. Let's just be polite to our new guest, okay? The man, Tommy, cocked his head toward my father. My dad took a step back, raising his hands. I mean, our new friend. The frozen smile never left Tommy's molded face. There was no humor in his strange laugh. It sounded like he was clearing his throat or imitating a really bad chuckle. It was too pronounced, each syllable sounding too deliberate. My father forced a smile onto his face. I meant... He looked desperately at my mother, who offered him no help, her body frozen in absolute fear. I meant... Meet your new parent, kids. Stephanie, who was standing by our mother, frowned. He's not our dad, you are. Why does he look so funny? Stephanie! My mother hissed, gripping my sister's shoulder. Tommy laughed and walked forward to crouch in front of Stephanie. It's not nice to make fun of people who look different, is it? My sister looked at her feet, blushing. Tommy tasseled her hair. It's okay. Buck up, kiddo. We're going to get along just fine. I'm going to help your parents raise you. It's a big job being a mommy and a daddy. Sometimes, mommy and daddies need help. Tommy turned to my parents, that ever-present plastic smile stretching his face. I help... My God. I help their mommy and daddies raise them. Isn't that right, Spence? Megan? Megan pulled Stephanie away as my father nodded nervously. That's right, kids, he did. Tommy smiled and turned to me. I was still sitting at the table, taking the odd scene in. I didn't understand what was happening. Didn't know who this weird-looking man was or what he wanted. What he was saying didn't make sense, but my parents seemed to know him, so I kept my speculations to myself. And you must be Matt, Tommy said, walking over to me. I didn't look at him, feigning my eyes to stare at my empty plate. I suddenly wasn't hungry anymore. I could feel the strange man beside me, his presence filling my head. I licked my lips and felt my heart begin to race. I didn't like this intruder. Something about him felt dangerous. Tommy walked behind me, chuckling, his hands sliding over my slender shoulders. Oh, it looks like we have a shy one. That's okay. I'll help him with that, he said to my parents. His fingers dug into my skin and I winced, but kept my mouth shut. Don't touch him, my mother hissed, eyes going wide. Tommy looked up at her and mouth stretched. My dad outstretched his hand, alarmed. Don't be so rude, Megan. Tommy continued to stare at my mother, who nervously lowered her eyes. Are you staying for dinner? Stephanie suddenly asked, breaking the tense silence. No! Silence you! Lowered her eyes. The eerie doll man let go of my shoulders, one of his hands sliding across my cheek and into my hair. Oh yes, I'll be here for quite a while. And that was how Tommy Taffy entered our lives. At 6 years old, I didn't know any better than to seriously... Okay. Matt, this is for you, letting you know, this is gonna be like a scene change. I'm going to end it at Entered Our Lives, and then we're going to do a scene change there, even though I think there's not really a paragraph break, but it feels more conclusive. And that was how Tommy Taffy entered our lives. At 6 years old, I didn't know any better than to seriously question what was happening. Even though my parents acted unsettled at his arrival, their constant assurances that he was a friend pushed away any lingering doubt that I had. As the days turned into weeks, I began to grow accustomed to Tommy's presence in our house. My initial fear slowly receded to wary caution. I soon learned that Tommy didn't like company. Whenever my mom had her yoga classes, Tommy would pull her off into a corner and whisper something to her. I would watch all this with silent eyes. I would see my mother's face grow pale, and she would nod, whispering back unknown assurances. Then Tommy would turn, that ever-present smile plastered on his face, and walk upstairs until the class was over. My parents told Stephanie and I that we weren't to talk to Tom. No. Sorry, it's that chest thing I mentioned. My parents told Stephanie and I that we weren't to talk to Tommy to... My parents told Stephanie and I that we weren't to talk about Tommy to our friends. Outside of the house, Tommy wasn't a part of our lives. I don't know why, but both my sister and I obeyed. Another thing I noticed was that Tommy never ate. He would sit at the table with us, but never partook in the meal. Stephanie asked him once if he was ever hungry, and Tommy just smiled at her silently and stroked her head. During the evenings, he would gather our family into the living room and give us a short lesson on how to be a good person. My parents never spoke during these talks, just sat next to us nodding. Tommy told us not to make fun of others, to love our friends and enemies, and always help those in need. He told us that's why he was here with us, to help my parents raise us, that we could come to talk to him if we ever had a problem at school or didn't know how to handle certain situations. It went on like this for a month, and that's when my mother lost it. Scene change, Matt. August 1989. My father had just arrived home from work, and I was sitting at the kitchen table doing my homework. My mother was cooking dinner, and Stephanie was practicing her dance for an upcoming school play. She was going to be a ballerina and had 3 weeks to learn a few simple spins and twirls. She had been diligently practicing over the past few days, but just couldn't get it right. She was young, and her temper was getting the better of her. That's when Tommy decided to help her. He had been sitting on the couch watching her when suddenly he rose and stood behind my sister, placing his hands gently on her shoulders. "Let me help, sweetie," he cooed, his voice carrying a cheerful note. My mother spun around from the stove and saw her visibly tense. My mother spun around from the stove, and I saw her visibly tense. She didn't like Tommy touching us. She gripped the wooden spoon in her hand until her knuckles went white, watching as Tommy crouched and cupped Stephanie's body with his. He took her hands in his from behind and guided her arms and waist, his cheek pressed gently against my sister's. "Tommy, let her learn on her own," my mother said, her voice shaking. Tommy didn't even look at her, just kept guiding my sister. I could hear my father coming down the stairs, freshly changed from a day at the office. Tommy spun my sister, and for the first time, she nailed the twirl, her little feet twisting her body in a complete circle. Tommy clapped his hands once, and then leaned down and kissed Stephanie on the cheek. "Good girl." "Don't do that!" my mother shrieked, dropping the spoon, her face drained of blood. I jumped in my seat at the table and swallowed hard. I didn't know why my mom was getting so upset. He was just helping her. I also knew deep down that it was a bad idea to yell at the new member of our family. It was the gut instinct of a child, a gentle warning that rumbled in my head. Tommy stood. My father was standing at the foot of the stairs now, frozen, unsure what to make of the confrontation. "Megan, what's wrong?" he asked. My mother's eyes never left Tommy. "Spence, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep pretending everything is all right. We know what this monster is. We know what he did to our town all those years ago. I want him out of our house." Hey, Wild. Sorry. Spence, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep pretending everything is all right. We know what this monster is. We know what he did to our town all those years ago. I want him out of our house. My father's eyes went wide. Panic bloomed in his face. Megan? He licked his lips, eyes darting back and forth at all of us. Don't be rude. Tommy has been a big help. My mom gritted her teeth. Stop that. Stop pretending we want him here. I can't watch this. I want him out. Very slowly, Tommy walked into the kitchen and stood in front of my mother. He looked down at her, his perfect blue eyes shining like crystal moons. His voice was like frozen silk. Megan, would you come down to the basement with me? I need to have a few words with you. My mother took a step back. Get away from me. Get away from my family. You're not welcome here anymore. She turned desperate eyes to my father. Spence, do something! My dad raised his hands in a gesture of helplessness. I could see he was terrified. Stephanie was watching from the living room, her lip quivering, eyes watering. I suddenly wanted to go comfort her, but I felt glued to my chair. Come on now, Megan. Just a quick word. Fuck you, my mother spat. I gasped, heart dropping into my stomach. I never heard my mother swear before, and it scared me stiff. Suddenly, Tommy grabbed my mother by the back of the neck, the smile never leaving his face, and yanked her to the basement door. Spence, stop him! Help me! My mother screamed, helplessly trying to remove Tommy's iron grip from her. Tommy shot my dad a look that froze Tommy shot my dad a look that froze him where he stood. I'm sorry, Megan. We need to do what he says, he cried. Stephanie was now openly crying, hands at her sides, tears running down her face. I felt sick as I watched Tommy open the basement door and drag my mother down into the darkness. The door slammed closed behind them. It was silent for a few minutes, and then the screams began. I never heard my mother scream before, and the sound of it shattered me. My father ran into the kitchen and scooped me up into his arms, then snatched up Stephanie into his other one. He marched us upstairs to his bedroom and dumped us on the bed. We sat huddled like that for hours, none of us speaking a word. My mother continued to scream. Finally, long after the sun set, we heard the basement door open. Mom's sleeping in the basement tonight, Tommy called out. March 1991. Scene change, Matt. Yeah, scene change here before, obviously. March 1991. 2 years passed. After that night, my mother never resisted or talked back to Tommy again. When she came out of the basement the following morning, I expected to see her covered in bruises and blood, but I could see no visible signs of violence. I was too young to understand what had happened. Why my mother now walked with a limp and would for the rest of her life. She didn't speak to my father for a month. Even then, it was just enough to get by. I noticed my father crying a lot during those 2 years. I didn't know what happened to my family, but I kept my mouth shut and obeyed the rules. Listen to Tommy. Don't talk about Tommy to others. Things went calm during those 2 years. Tommy continued to live with us. Tommy continued to give us life lessons and be part of our home. No one but my family knew he was living with us. He was our secret, the dark star that hung above our heads. I learned to smile around Tommy, as did my sister. If he thought we were happy, he seemed more relaxed. That night my mother challenged him. That changed everything. Every couple of months, Tommy would assert his authority over my parents. He would test them, stretch the limits of their patience and nerves. Most of the time, my father and mother would humbly submit to whatever mind games he played with them. Most of the time, he would do or say something to Stephanie or myself. It always made me uncomfortable. Sometimes he would have us sit in his lap while he stroked our hair. Sometimes he'd sing strange songs to my sister about love. Sometimes he would make us take a bath together while he watched. I always put on a brave face during these times. Stephanie was young still, so she wasn't as bothered as I was. Where am I? It was uncomfortable. I would look at my parents for guidance. With pale faces, they would nod silently, and I continued in whatever activity we were forced into doing. It was in the early part of 1991 when the next awful thing happened to my family. Tommy pushed the limits once again. I rubbed sleep from my eyes and looked at my race car clock on the wall. The glow-in-the-dark hands read 2 a.m. I could hear something in the hallway outside of my room. It sounded like someone crying. Where was Tommy? I checked the dark corners of my room to make sure he wasn't there, watching me sleep. When I was assured he wasn't, I pulled the covers away and slipped to the floor. I crept to my door and looked out into the darkness. I could see a figure standing on the floor by my sister's closed door. A person. I squinted in the black and realized it was my father with his hands over his face. He was sobbing, his back against the wall. "Dad?" I whispered. My father looked up and immediately shooed me back into my room. I just stood there as my eyes adjusted to the night. My father's face was a mess of blood and bruises. "Go back to bed, man, please," he cried. I took a hesitant step out to the hallway. "Dad, what happened to your face? What's going on? Did Tommy do that?" My father's eyes went wide and he shushed me. No, of course not. Don't say such things. Tommy is he's here to help us be a better family. I walked closer to my dad and froze as I passed my sister's door. I could hear muffled cries from inside. I could hear fear. "Dad?" I whispered, pointing to the door. "What's wrong with Stephanie?" My father wiped the trail of blood from his lips, eyes watering, anguish stretching his features. "Come here, man." I crawled onto his outstretched arms as something loud banged against the wall from my sister's room. I jumped and my father curled me up into his chest. I could feel tears dripping onto my head as he fought back misery. "Tommy's in there, isn't he?" I said quietly. My dad sniffled. "Yes, son." I looked up into his bloody face. "What did you do, Dad?" My dad tried to smile, but his face wouldn't cooperate. He wanted to do something with your sister I didn't like. I told him no. As he spoke, I realized I could hear my mother crying from the bedroom. My dad cupped his hand under my chin. "We can't say no to Tommy, okay? Remember that." My sister screamed from her bedroom, a shrill, piercing cry that shook me to my soul. I gripped my father's arm. "Why is he here?" I whispered. "Why can't he just go away?" My father was silent a moment, and then he lowered his mouth to my ear. Listen to me, Matt. This is very important. When you grow up, do not have children. He follows those with children. I shifted in my father's arms as something was dragged across the hardwooden floor from the other side of the wall. My father gritted his teeth, more tears spilling. We don't know who he is or what he is. He came to our town when we were little boys and little girls just like you and Stephanie. Your mother and I lived 2 houses down from one another. Tommy infested our street. I don't know how. He was everywhere, always. He'd be at my house, but also across the street, and also at your mother's, all at the same time. I don't know what he wants, what his purpose is. He just showed up one day. He just showed up. He couldn't go away. God knows my father tried. Is that how Grandpa died? I asked. I never met my grandpa. I just knew he had died years before I was born. My father nodded. Yes, man. Tommy had to teach him a lesson. He had to teach the entire street a lesson. After that, why can't you just kill him? I whispered, ever so softly. My father brought his mouth closer to my ear, his voice barely audible. We tried. We tried everything. We burned him, we shot him, we cut him into pieces, but it never worked. He always came back knocking on our door, and someone had to pay. Someone always had to pay. If we didn't follow his rules, someone had to pay. Tommy was our secret. He was our invisible monster, hidden from the outside world. Deaths were covered up. Abuse was buried under the rug because we knew if anyone said a word, Tommy would make it bad for whoever had to face his punishment. I digested all this with the understanding of an 8-year-old, and the only thing I could think of was, when is he going away? My father kissed the top of my head. 3 more years. The bedroom door suddenly opened and my father jumped, tumbling me out of his arms. Tommy stood in the darkness, his face perfectly composed, except he was breathing hard. His plastic-looking face scared me, his 2 blue eyes glowing out of the black. Tommy jabbed a thumb over his shoulder at the new silent bedroom. Tommy jabbed a thumb over his shoulder at the now silent bedroom. She's going to sleep like a log tonight. Jesus Christ, dude. Oh my God. Scene change, Matt. September 1993. We had 1 year left. 1 more year. I could almost see the desperation in my parents' eyes grow every day, begging the calendar to advance. We were almost through the nightmare. I thought a lot about what my father had told me that horrible night in the hallway. Thought about what he must have gone through as a child, what he must have experienced. I wondered how bad things must have gotten for Tommy to murder my grandfather. I realize now that despite all the awful things Tommy was doing, my father's submission was keeping us alive. His agonized silence kept Tommy's wrath at bay. Looking back, I can't imagine the mental torture he endured during those 5 years. Stephanie didn't talk much after that night in March. I noticed her charismatic personality decline drastically, and suddenly she was an unsmiling, silent child. I don't think she understood what happened to her as she grew up. I think her mind slowly began to build a wall, blocking that night out from her mind's eye. My mother and father seemed to be extra compliant that last year. They engaged in Tommy's nighttime lessons with added enthusiasm, and my mom desperately made sure Stephanie and I reacted the way that made Tommy happy. But I didn't make it out unscathed. Tommy was sure to make his mark on our entire family. I was sitting in my room with the door closed. It was almost dinner time, and everyone was downstairs getting ready. I could hear Tommy laughing from the living room. I looked down at the magazine one of my friends at school had given me. It was a Playboy. He had pored over the pages at school, giggling and ogling over the naked women scattered throughout the magazine. I'd never seen anything like it. It was my first exposure to that world. It made my heart race in ways I enjoyed, and I felt something weird but pleasurable stirring inside of me. I had asked my friends if I could borrow the magazine, and he had let me. I adjusted myself in my bed and pored over the nude photos. Couldn't believe women actually let people take pictures of them like this. I felt something stir in my crotch as I turned another page. My heart was racing, and I felt hot, my cheeks flush. I was on the last page when I heard something from the doorway. Yep, Tommy. What you got there, Matt? I whipped my head up, jumping, the magazine falling to the floor. Tommy was watching me from the door. I hadn't even heard him open it. Nothing, I mumbled, snatching the Playboy up and shoving it under my pillow. Tommy walked over to me. I hadn't heard you come in, I mumbled, blushing. Tommy reached under my pillow and pulled out the magazine. It's not nice to lie. I told you that. It's not nice to lie. I told you that. Why were you lying to me, Matt? I swallowed hard, heart thundering against my ribcage. I'm sorry, I trailed off miserably as Tommy thumbed through the pages. He glanced down at me. Do you like this? I knew I couldn't lie to him again. I nodded, my skin flush, eyes on the floor. Oh man, I don't like where this is going at all. Oh god. Ugh. Tommy smiled and sat down next to me on the bed, one hand resting on my thigh. Do these pictures make you feel good? I didn't look at him as I nodded again. Ooh. Oh. Ugh. Where is a good place to cut this? That's just, I can't do that, man. That's just way too far. Oof. Oh, okay. Tommy smiled gently. It's okay to be scared. Growing up is scary. You're going to be such a handsome young man. He stroked my cheek with his other hand. Have you had your first kiss yet? Tommy suddenly leaned down and kissed me, his lips engulfing mine. I let out a squeal of panic as I felt his tongue slip into my mouth, his grip tightening. His mouth tasted of rotting fruit and decaying meat. A rush of filth that invaded my taste buds. I just cried, staring up at him with shocked, panic eyes. Tommy smiled and whispered into my ear, That's okay. He suddenly sat up, releasing me. Come on, dinner's ready. Shaking, I wiped my face and let him help me off the bed. I wasn't hungry. Scene change, Matt. That was really hard, dude. I cut a lot of that out there. I feel like probably putting an essay warning at the beginning of the video might be good. This is, like, I was like, yeah, I've done, like, Baraska and stuff that has, like, sexual assault in it and things like that, but, like, that was... This, like, Matt, I cut a lot of this out, dude. Like, it gets rough. It gets rough, dude. Like, oof. So, yeah, maybe we put a quick little text warning in the beginning, like, warning the story contains sexual abuse themes. Yeah, that might be good. Like, I was thinking, like, the rough part they were talking about was, like, the scene where they were outside of the door, and I was like, okay, well, I mean, like, that's kind of tastefully, like, we all know what's happening, it doesn't need to be explicitly stated. Then it is explicitly stated, so, ooh, okay. July 1994. As the days marched closer and closer towards July, my family developed a silent, optimistic... That's okay. As the days marched closer and closer towards July, my family developed a silent optimism, a desperate plea to make this all stop. To make it all go away. My mother and father made sure there was no reason for any hard lesson. They bent over backwards for Tommy, begging through clamped teeth that we'd all make it to July without another incident. Only July 3rd, we woke up to find Tommy Taffy was gone. 5 years to the day. I couldn't believe it. He'd simply vanished overnight. We checked the entire house, my mom weeping tears of relieved joy that the nightmare was finally over. Over checking every inch of the house 3 times over, we met in the living room, embracing one another as a family. Tommy had moved on. Sentence was over. My father called out of work and we went away for 2 weeks to the beach. During those 2 weeks, I kept expecting to wake up with Tommy standing over me, that horrific smile on his face, but he didn't. It was over. My parents did their best to rebuild our family, fill in the cracks that had been made during those long years, and I love them dearly for it. Some monsters just can't be forgotten. I don't know what Tommy Taffy was or where he came from. I don't think I'll ever know what was his purpose. Why did he do those awful things to us? I pore over the possible answers until my head splits, and I find myself crying. The memory's too much to dig up. Some things are just left dead in the past. But I haven't forgotten what my father told me in the hallway that awful night outside of my sister's room. I'm 33 now. I've remained unmarried without children. I can't risk it. I can't risk that monster coming back into my life. I've never understood why my parents chose to have kids. They both had been exposed to Tommy during their childhood, so why? Why have Stephanie and I... Maybe they didn't believe he'd come back. But I believe it. And I'm terrified. Because you see, yesterday my sister gave birth to twins. It's a good story, dude. It is a very good story, but like, god damn, that scene is rough. Like, I got that, like, okay, this is gonna be a sexual assault thing, but god damn, that scene is rough. Oh man, I normally don't touch stories of that. I know this is a popular one. Man, that's fucking oof. Oh my god, dude. I'm gonna pass it off to Matt. I will let him make that call if it's too much. If it's too much, this will fall into the this will end up falling away into the vault with other stories that I've recorded that I decided not to post. But goddamn, dude, that's fucking rough. Oof. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, we'll leave it to him. Oh, worst decisions of all time. Dude, I agree. I have a feeling that, like, you probably don't have a choice. Like, barbecue. I imagine that you probably don't have a choice. It probably is just, it's going to take place, right? Matt, when you guys hear me talk to Matt, that's my editor. He's one of the, like, my best friends. He's been one of my best friends for, like, my entire career. Love this guy. He also does all the editing for the stories. If you guys hear it, Audionic, you see him, like, in the credits and stuff. He is 110% the best audio engineer that I've ever heard in my life. He does great. How did Som do? If Dark Somnian did this one, how did he do? Did he do the whole thing? Because, like, props, dude. If he was able to do this the whole way through, dude, I have mad respect. Because I am very much kind of hovering now on what should or should not happen. Like, whether I should or should not, you know? Ever thought of doing a face reveal? I've done face reveals. I'm all over it. Like, if I post my face on Instagram, Twitter. If you look at the bottom, there's Twitter. Oh, I guess there's Patreon. I don't have my Instagram on there. Billy the Skeleton's my Instagram. You want to look at me? Yeah, you can see me. I'm just, like, having the mask on for this. He did the whole thing. God damn, dude. Oh, good props, dude. That's impressive. Impressive for him to be able to do that. That's crazy. I don't think I couldn't record this. There's no way I could do this any justice. You know, like, that. Mad props to him for being able to do that. Oh, dude. I need to see what he's up to also, because I need to get him on one of the pulp horror things. Oh, let's see. Tommy Taffy is a humanoid Laffy Taffy is wearing a clown costume. I don't think of him as a clown costume. I think of, like, he's got to be, like, incredibly smooth. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like a pure plastic Ken doll kind of guy. Which also makes the whole thing so much weirder. Can I just say, like, that makes the essay, like, so much weirder. Because, like, I picture him as, like, full smooth Ken doll. That makes it so weird. Yeah, it's so uncomfortable. I mean, that's the point. Thunderbands, I think that's the point. And, like, props to him for being able to play the character, to play the whole story out that way, because I couldn't. I think that's the thing, is it makes me so uncomfortable trying to play that that role. God, I'm probably gonna have to redo Tommy's lines now I think about it, because I don't think I like did them any justice speaking forward. But either way, man, props to him for being able to make that work. Because like speaking the lines is hard. Real fucking rough, dude. Let me see. Do I have anything else right now, or am I going to? I do have other ones. Let's see if anybody is up or awake right now. Okay. Maybe I will record this one with you guys. I want in a perfect world, I would get all of you guys to listen to all of my pulp ones, because that's me and Goldcoin. So I'm gonna record this one with you guys, and then we'll see how it goes. Also, it'll be a nice palate cleanser for me. That was a rough story. I think that's gonna stick in my brain for a little bit. I'm disturbed by the story. Yeah, I'm not gonna do the whole thing. I think I overestimated how brave I could be with that, and that's not something I can do. That's oh god. Somnium being able to do that is impressive. He's a stronger man than I, dude. Somnia is by far a stronger man than I. I can't do that. The mountains of Wales had a way of swallowing sound. The farther one traveled into the valley, the quieter the world became. Wind drifted lazily through an ancient pine forest, carrying the scent of damp earth and rain-soaked stones. Rivers whispered over polished rock as they had for centuries, and somewhere, high among the mist-covered hills, a lone church bell echoed through the morning fog. To a stranger, the countryside felt peaceful. To those born here, it remembered too much. Horror on the Rocks I'll have to check out. I'm not familiar with that channel, but I'll check them out. Larry Talbot watched the landscape from the window of the slow-moving train as it wound through the valley. He had not seen Wales in nearly 20 years. America had become his home. Its cities were loud, restless, forever chasing tomorrow. Wales seemed content to let yesterday linger. He wasn't sure which felt more foreign anymore. The conductor stepped into the... He wasn't sure which felt more foreign anymore. The conductor stepped into the compartment. "Talbot Station, sir?" Larry smiled politely. "Yeah, thank you." As the train slowed to a stop, he caught sight of Talbot Castle, standing atop the distant hillside. Even through the fog, it dominated the valley. Its gray stone towers rose above the trees like the ruins of another age. When he was a boy, he'd believed giants lived there. And now, it simply looked lonely. The carriage ride to the estate passed through villages that appeared almost untouched by time. Stone cottages leaned beneath heavy slate roofs. Children chased one another through muddy lanes before stopping to watch the unfamiliar automobile pass. Several elderly villagers removed their caps as Larry drove by. Not in greeting, in recognition. Word traveled quickly in places like this. The younger Talbot had come home. Sir John Talbot waited inside the great hall. Age had straightened rather than bent him. His silver hair remained immaculately combed, his posture rigid despite the years. He looked less like an aging nobleman than a soldier who had simply exchanged his uniform for tailored wool. Larry stepped inside. For a long moment, neither man spoke. At least, Sir John extended his hand. "You've been away a long time." Larry accepted it. "Too long." "I wasn't certain you'd come." "Yeah, I wasn't certain either." Silence settled between them. There had once been another son, older, confident. The heir to Talbot Castle. His portrait still hung above the fireplace. Fresh flowers rested beneath it. Larry noticed them immediately. His father noticed Larry noticing. "He would have been pleased to see you." Larry looked away. "Yeah, I hope so." Neither mentioned how the elder Talbot had died. Some grief remained too large for conversation. The castle had changed surprisingly little. The same long corridors, the same grandfather clock, the same stained-glass windows, casting colored light across polished stone floors. Even Larry's old bedroom remained untouched. Books still lined the shelves exactly as he'd left them. A telescope stood beside the window overlooking the valley. Dust covered its brass frame. He smiled. "I used to spend hours looking at the stars." Sir John nodded. "You said they made the world look smaller." Larry laughed quietly. "I suppose I was wrong." His father rested one hand upon the telescope. "No. The older I become," he looked out towards the mountains, "the larger the world seems." The following morning, Larry wandered into the village. It didn't take long before he found Gwen Conliffe's antique shop. The display window overflowed with carved walking sticks, silver jewelry, clocks, and curious little trinkets collected from generations of Welsh families. A silver wolf's head mounted atop an elegant walking cane immediately caught his eye. A beautiful piece. Oh, ha 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 ha. Beautiful piece. The voice startled him. Gwen smiled from behind the counter. "My father made it." Larry lifted the cane carefully. It had silver. "It is. Seems an expensive choice." Her smile faded ever so slightly. "Some people around here believe silver has its uses." Larry chuckled. "Against what?" She hesitated, then shrugged. "Old stories." He twirled the cane playfully. "I've always liked old stories." "You may not like ours." They spent the afternoon walking through the village. Larry discovered conversation came easily with her. She possessed an easy confidence, laughing often but never loudly. Unlike the cities he'd grown accustomed to, silence between them never felt uncomfortable. It simply belonged to the countryside. As dusk settled over the valley, Gwen pointed towards a cluster of wagons gathering near the edge of the forest. "The Romani arrived yesterday." Larry followed her gaze. Colorful lanterns flickered among the trees. Music drifted softly through the evening mist. "You've met many before?" "Every few years." "And?" She smiled uneasily. "They always seem to know things they shouldn't." Larry raised an eyebrow. "Fortune tellers." "They don't call themselves that." "Oh, yeah? Well, what do they call themselves?" "Survivors." They were about to continue down the road when an old shepherd appeared from between two cottages. His weathered face looked older than the mountains themselves. He stopped directly in front of Larry. His pale eyes studied him carefully. "You've come home." Larry smiled politely. "I have." The old man nodded once, then looked towards the darkening forest. "Shouldn't walk there after moonrise." Larry laughed. "Wolves?" The shepherd slowly shook his head. "Wolves are honest." He turned and continued down the road without another word. Larry watched him disappear into the fog. "That's a friendly fellow." Gwen didn't smile. "He wasn't trying to frighten you." "No? He was trying to warn you." That evening, Talbot Castle hosted a modest dinner. Candles flickered across polished oak while servants quietly attended to the meal. Conversation remained pleasant, comfortable, almost ordinary. For the first time since returning, Larry began wondering if perhaps coming home had been the right decision after all. Outside, rain began tapping gently against the stained glass windows. Sir John glanced towards the sound. "The weather's changed." One of the elderly servants quietly crossed himself. Larry noticed. "Nervous about the rain?" The old servant hesitated. "It's the moon, sir." Larry frowned. "Yeah, what about it?" The moon is full tomorrow." No one else at the table spoke. The silence lingered just a moment too long. Sir John finally cleared his throat. "Old village superstitions." His servant lowered his eyes. "Yes, sir." But he didn't sound convinced. Unable to sleep, Larry climbed the winding staircase leading to the castle's highest tower. The telescope still stood where he'd left it years ago. He adjusted the brass tube towards the night sky. Clouds drifted apart. The moon emerged, almost full. Its pale light washed across the forest below. He smiled despite himself. Some things never changed. Then, movement. Deep within the trees, Larry adjusted the focus. The branches swayed, and nothing more. He relaxed. Probably a deer. He was about to step away when two brilliant golden eyes appeared beneath the pines, watching him, unblinking. Far too high above the ground to belong to any ordinary animal. Larry leaned closer. The eyes didn't move, didn't blink. They simply stared. A chill crept slowly up his spine. He reached for the telescope's focus once more. A cloud drifted across the moon. Darkness swallowed the forest. And when the light returned, the eyes were gone. Only the tree remained. Still, silent, waiting. Somewhere below, from deep within the ancient Welsh woods, a wolf began to howl. Another answered, and then another. The valley carried their mournful chorus across the hills until it seemed like less the cry of animals and more like a warning. Larry remained at the telescope long after the howling stopped. He told himself he had imagined the eyes. That exhaustion, travel, and unfamiliar surroundings had played tricks upon him. It was a comforting lie. The forest, however, already knew his name. I'll do one more of these and then I'm probably going to end it. Not too long today. As we've been going for an hour 20. We'll go for an hour 30. Should be fine. The valley changed after sunset. By day, the hills of Wales felt almost inviting. Sunlight spilled across green pastures, birds filled the forest with song, and the rivers shimmered beneath the open sky. But when darkness settled over the mountains, The woods belonged to something else. Fog drifted between the ancient oaks, swallowing the narrow trails one by one, until even the moon struggled to find the forest floor. The villagers knew better than to wander there. Larry Talbot did not. He arrived at Gwen Conliff's shop shortly before dusk, carrying the silver wolf-headed walking stick that he had purchased the previous afternoon. Gwen smiled as she locked the front door behind her. I was beginning to think you'd forgotten. I don't make a habit of forgetting pretty women. She rolled her eyes. You Americans really are hopeless. Larry laughed. I've been called worse. Walking beside her were two friends from the village, Jenny Williams and young Lucy Hathaway, both eager to visit the Romani encampment that had been settled just beyond the forest. They're reading fortunes tonight, Jenny explained. Larry raised an eyebrow. You all believe in that? No, Gwen smiled. We just enjoy proving them wrong. The camp appeared almost dreamlike beneath the moonlight. Colorful wagons formed a loose circle around several crackling fires. Music floated softly through the night air. Children danced barefoot in the grass, while older women stirred fragrant stews over open flames. It felt like a campsite. It felt less like a campsite and more like a forgotten world hidden just beyond the edge of civilization. Yet Larry couldn't shake the feeling that every pair of eyes followed him. Not with curiosity, but recognition. An elderly Romani woman emerged from one of the wagons. She leaned heavily upon an intricately carved cane. Her silver hair spilled from beneath a dark shawl, framing a face lined with hardship rather than age. Her eyes settled immediately upon Larry. She sighed, not in annoyance, but in sorrow. Oh boy, this is the edited bit. You've come a long way. Larry smiled politely. I suppose I have? She shook her head. No. You've come farther than you know. Before Larry could reply, another voice interrupted. Mother! A young man stepped from the shadows. Dark-haired, broad shoulders, perhaps 40 years old. His smile was warm enough, yet something behind his eyes remained permanently haunted. This is my son, the old woman said. Bella. Larry extended his hand. Yep, there's the cat. Larry extended his hand. Bella hesitated before accepting it. The moment their hands met, Bella stiffened. His expression changed completely. He stared directly into Larry's eyes, almost searching them. Then quietly released his hand. The warmth had vanished from his face. You should leave. Larry blinked. I'm sorry? Take your friends. Go home. Jenny laughed nervously. Well, that's one way to welcome visitors. But Bella wasn't looking at her. He never took his eyes off Larry. The moon rises soon. His voice had become little more than a whisper. You don't belong here tonight. After a moment of silence, Larry and his friends began a laugh and shooed Bella away. Awkwardly, the fortune reading began, despite his warning. Jenny entered first, then Lucy. Laughter echoed from inside the brightly colored wagon as each emerged, pretending not to believe a word they had heard. Gwen disappeared inside next. Larry wandered a short distance away, giving them privacy. He found Bella standing alone near the tree line, watching the forest. You frighten my friends. I was trying to save them. Larry leaned against a nearby oak. You actually believe all this? Bella looked towards the moon. I stopped believing years ago. Yeah? Well, what changed? I saw it. Larry smiled. Yeah, a wolf? Bella slowly shook his head. No, I saw myself. The answer lingered uncomfortably between them. A scream shattered the night. Jenny, Larry spun towards the wagon, another scream, then silence. He sprinted through the camp, branches whipping against his face as he burst into a small clearing beyond the lanterns. Jenny lay on the ground, trembling violently. Lucy knelt beside her, unable to speak. Gwen pointed into the darkness. There! Something moved between the trees. Too large for a wolf, too fast for a man. It circled them silently. Never stepping into the moonlight, Larry grabbed the silver-headed cane. Bella! No answer. Only another growl, lower this time, closer. The beast emerged. Its body resembled a wolf only in the broadest sense. It stood unnaturally tall, its shoulders rolled beneath matted black fur, its eyes burned with terrible intelligence. Not animal, but human. The thing looked directly at Larry, recognition flashing across his face, almost regret. Then, instinct won. It charged. Everything happened at once. Jenny screamed. Lucy ran. Gwen stumbled backwards. Larry swung the cane with every ounce of strength he possessed. The silver wolf's head connected with the creature's skull. The impact echoed to the forest. The beast collapsed heavily to the leaves. It didn't move again. Larry dropped beside it, struggling to catch his breath. His chest burned. Only then did he notice the pain. 3 deep gashes stretched across his ribs. Blood soaked through his shirt. He hadn't even felt the attack. The others slowly approached. No one spoke. No one dared. The creature lying before them had begun changing. The fur receded, limbs twisted, bones cracking softly beneath the skin. The long snout collapsed inward. Within moments, there was no wolf. Only Bella. His lifeless eyes staring peacefully towards the moon. Gwen whispered the words no one of them wanted to hear. It was him. Larry backed away. No. He looked at... He looked away. He looked again. The body hadn't changed. The old Romani woman appeared from the darkness without making a sound. She knelt beside her son. For several long moments she simply rested one hand upon his forehead. No tears came, only silence, and finally, she looked up at Larry. The cane... Larry glanced down. Its silver wolf's head was stained crimson. I killed him. You freed him. Larry looked at the old woman in confusion. What are you talking about? She slowly rose. The beast only dies by silver. His eyes drifted towards the blood-soaked... Her eyes drifted towards the blood soaking Larry's torn shirt. But the curse... Her voice grew quieter. Must always live. The village doctor cleaned... scene change here. The village doctor cleaned Larry's wounds well after midnight. He frowned. Never seen scratches like these. They're deep. Larry winced as the clothes pressed against his ribs. Will they heal? They should. The doctor carefully wrapped the injuries. But you'll carry those scars. Larry nodded absently. The room had grown strangely warm. He loosened the bandages slightly. The pain had already faded. And by dawn, they were gone entirely. He awoke just after sunrise, sunlight spilling across his bedroom floor. For a moment, he thought the previous night had been a nightmare. Then he looked down. The bandages lay neatly folded beside the bed. His chest was bare. He stared. The wounds were gone. Not healed, just gone. Only 3 thin, white scars remained, perfectly parallel, as though they had been there for years. A knock came at the door. Before Larry could answer, he smelled her. Wildflowers, lavender, fresh rain. You had me nervous there for a second. Yeah, I think it was there. Gwen. She hadn't spoken, hadn't even opened the door, yet somehow he knew she was standing outside. The realization chilled him more deeply than the bite ever had. Is somewhere in the forest surrounding Talbot Castle. The wolf lifted its head towards the morning sky, and for reasons Larry could not begin to understand. Part of him wanted to answer. Okay. Dinner is here. So, thus ends my stream. For those of you guys that are watching on YouTube, this ends it. For those of you guys who are watching on Twitch, I'm gonna be dropping you guys off with a friend. I'm gonna go ahead and send you guys to the ending. Where's the ending screen? Send you guys over to the ending screen, and I'm going to mute myself and play you guys out. But thank you all for coming here, hanging out with me, and watching me work. We will show stuff. So we will show these new videos probably over the weekend, I'm going to assume. These got to get dropped over to Matt so that he can get them going. But thank you guys so much. I will see you all a little bit later.
We've known each other since we were kids, catching fireflies and